All right. Mic test, mic test, mic test. So let me just say, um, you know, I have to set my Nightbot to update it. But yeah, essentially, man. Let me just say this, bro. Thank you. Just thank you. It's for everybody, man. Everybody who came to the stream, seen how distressed I was, seen how hopeless I was, seen how upset I was, and how stressed I was about the situation. I mean, I never thought that people would actually give a damn enough to do the things that they did as far as donating and sending that positive energy to me and just making sure that, I was in a better spot. Like, people actually gave a fuck. And to somebody, excuse my language, but that's just how serious I took the situation. You know what I mean? Like, I was, for a whole week, not knowing what I'm going to do about it, or rather fearful of what I thought I had to do it, but not willing to go that far because, I'm not that type of person at all. Not at all. But the fact that people cared enough to do what they did means so much to me that I can't say thank you enough to all those people. I'm talking about to the people that donated, the people that came to the stream, all of that. So, um, the danger has officially been avoided thanks to you guys. Like, I can honestly say the danger has been avoided. Like, I don't have to, um, you know what I'm saying, worry about certain things anymore, because now it's like things are no longer an issue to that point to where I feel like, you know what I mean, I can't take care of it myself. You know what I mean? Like, I think anybody who knows me, including my family, they know this about me. It's like I have a very hard time asking for help. Like, I'm just being for real. Like, I have a hard time calling people, asking them for help, only because, you know, I'm in a I'm at that point in my life where it's like I don't want to continue asking people for help because I'm a humble dude at the end of the day. Like, I'm one of those people where it's like, if I'm asking you for help, I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking about how bad I'm messing up everybody else's situation. Like, I'm not selfish to where I'd be like, oh, just think about me, think about me. Nah, like, I've never been like that. My thing is that I'm asking for help. If you can afford to do it, then please, do it. If not, it's no harm done. It's just that, I'm just gonna have to deal with that. But I want to try to avoid that situation as much as possible. So let me just explain, like, before I even get into any games, like, this stream is basically to catch people up to speed to why that situation even happened to begin with, and why I was damn near homeless. Because I had a few people, not just that one guy that came into my stream, thinking I just, did whatever, and it was my fault. Like, anytime something bad happens, I'm the first person to try to find something, to see, okay, well, this happened, and, I mean, I can blame myself for that, and then I won't feel as bad because I feel like at that point I deserved it. But if it's literally not your fault when something bad happens, then it's like you feel like shit after a while because, like, it's not your fault that it happened, but it's happening to you. You know what I mean? And that's basically the situation I was in. So let me just give you like give you the caught up version. So um, when we was living in the old house, the original house we were staying in, we first moved into that house in 2014. I want to say January 2000. No, it was January 2000. January 1st, 2015. We moved into that house. The reason why we moved into that house was because my cousin and my sister, they were staying in two different houses. When I first came to California in 2014, May 6th, 2014, I went to go live with my sister. But my cousins, they were staying in their own house. You know what I mean? It's like everybody was visiting everybody else's house, And later on that year, they just decided that, you know, my sister, she was tired of the landlord that she was dealing with, and my cousin, I think she had like a rat problem or something at her house. So they just decided that, you know, why don't we just come together, get like a bigger house, and just, you know, save money on like bills and things like that. At least that was the idea. Um, but yeah, that was the idea. So when we first moved into the house, the security deposit was 5,000, and the rent was I think like 2,500. So the rent was 2,500. The security deposit was 5,000. But we had made an agreement to but an agreement was made between my cousin and my sister, because they were like the owners of the lease. Um, that they would break the $5,000 security deposit, you know, into like monthly payments, which eventually we did pay off. You know, we did pay it off on time. And the rent was going to be 2,500. So later on, I think that following year, I believe the rent got raised. And you know, which was fine. It didn't get raised up by much. It was still like kind of like, you know, whatever. But the rent was like, you know, I think, you know, I'm gonna get corrected on this if they see this, but I believe it was like 2,500 when we originally moved in there, and then it got moved up to 2,700. I think not that following year, but I think the year after that. So I think 2017. It probably was like that in 2016 as well, but I think it jumped up to 2017. It jumped up to 2,700. I want to say 2017 it happened. It probably happened 2017. Because I'm thinking about it, because one of the things that made us not like the landlord that we was living with at that time, what not living with, but the one who was renting us the property, there was a bunch of things wrong with the house that she didn't get fixed before we moved in there, that we had to like take care of and wait till she came and fixed them, which was like 2 or 3 years later. My cousin said it was 3 years. I think I only remember 2 years passing, but you know, at the most it was 3 years that went by before she came by and did anything. So she put white carpet on like the stair, basically in high traffic areas. For example, like the stairs leading upstairs, because it's like a 2-story house. So she put white carpet in like the worst areas to put white carpet in, to where there would be traffic. And I think that's like a setup with her, because it's like maybe she just wanted to do that because it'll be easier to like keep people's security deposits. For people who don't know how security deposits work, when you move into a place, you have to pay a security deposit. This is basically like collateral held against you, basically to make sure that you don't mess up the house, moving in or out. And if things are cool when you do decide to leave the property, that money is given back to you. So that's how security deposits work. It's just there as a collateral. So in case you do mess anything up moving out or in, you know, they'll have like that money on the side to fix it, and then they'll just give you the remainder. But yeah, so it was a number of problems we was dealing with as far as like the carpet being dirty when we first moved in there, having dark spots. We cleaned it. It was cleaned multiple times with multiple products, and it still didn't get rid of the spots and things like that. The carpet was terrible. You know, they had like some of the drawers in the kitchen were coming off the hinges. Like they used shorter rails for the drawers that they shouldn't have used, and they didn't fix that until like 2 or 3 years later. It was just bad. Like they didn't. That house was not in any shape for us to move into, but considering our situation, we didn't have no choice but to move into there. You know what I mean? So we moved in there and dealt with it until they came fix it. It was like dents in the walls. Now they didn't charge us for that. My cousin didn't get charged for that when she left. Like she still got, I think she only got charged like $400, and she still had $4,600 left from the security deposit left for her pocket. So, you know, that was cool. So, but the landlord over there was so shady and so full of BS. It's like it's like, okay, so January 2019, right? This is last month or like 2 months ago. I was coming home, mind you. This is like the second or third week in January, and I didn't, you know, my cousin, like late last year in like November and December, she had told us, the people who wanted to stay and keep the house, was that and keep the house, that she was getting ready to move and go back to the south because she was tired of dealing with the landlord, tired of like the high rent out here. Because in the south, the rent is much cheaper. It's a lot less of a headache, and the lifestyle of living is so much laid back and calmer than it is out here in like California, where things are kind of more so fast paced. So they were ready to go back to the south. My cousin, her husband, and they were going back, and that was the decision. So what we decided to do was that we're gonna take the lease on on our name. My cousin, her daughter, which was also my cousin, myself, and the two other roommates that we had living with us. It was an elderly woman and her son. So it was the four of us. We were gonna take over the lease, and like we would have been able to pay it just fine. So one day I came home. That was the original idea. So I think that Thursday, or was it a Wednesday or Thursday? I can't remember. It was during like the second or third week in January. I came home, and somebody had told me that they don't think that the lady was going to let us keep the house for whatever reason. Found out that the conversation that my cousin had with the landlord about it was, so if we were to take the lease, we was going to have to pay $5,000 of our own to as a security deposit. Now the thing was, when we first moved in there, we did like monthly payments to pay off the lease, right? Everybody's doing better now as far as like a job and better job, making good money. Whoop-de-whoop. So we would have been able to do that, but it's just like, why? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we do like a payment plan like last time? She said for whatever reason, she said she didn't want to do that. Okay, so that was her issue. So my cousin has suggested, why don't she just leave the $5,000 deposit that she already has with her, and let pass that over to us, so that basically it'll already be paid off for us, and we'll just periodically pay back my cousin. She was like, okay, she didn't want to do that either because she felt like it was complicated. Basically she was just full of shit, and she just wanted us to get out of there because she wanted to raise the rent up to $4,000. I think $3,000 and eventually up to $4,000 to whoever the next people are to come live there. And she wanted, basically she wanted that, and we wouldn't agree to it. Because one year she tried to raise the rent up on us twice, and my cousin basically had told her she was going to get a lawyer. Because, that's illegal. You can't raise the rent on people twice in the same year. You can't do that. But with that being said, there's really no rent control. Like I say in a city where there's no real rent control per se. So if a landlord wanted to raise the rent on you, they can do that indefinitely. Unless legally they can't do it, but it's like loopholes, and they use those loopholes to do that type of shit. So there's no real rent control in this city. So basically she was getting away with doing bullshit, and the real issue was like, okay, you're doing that, but you have all these issues that were in the house before we got here that you haven't fixed yet, and you want to raise the rent up on us, not once but twice. Like, that's kind of like stupid for us to agree to do that when you showing you don't care about the tenants and take care. Like, it was things that needed to be fixed. Like, the toilet had a leak in it. The carpet it was white carpet in high traffic areas, so there were black spots on the carpet that had to get vacuumed. You know what I'm saying? Little shit like that. It's just like dumb shit. Like, she just was not a good landlord in any sense of the word. She just wasn't. She wasn't the landlord that you would want to have as a landlord. You know what I mean? So she just really wanted to be a headache for no reason. So that was the case with that. Let me see. We also had, that whole situation with that. And we ended up having to move, and mind you, this is like the second or third week in January, so we really didn't have, so people were like rushing. Like, we had to clean the entire 2-story house out in like I think we did it in like 3 days. Like, we got everything ready, packed up and ready to go in like 3 days. Like, we was working because everybody just wanted to get out of there, so other people had to find places to go. My cousin and her husband, eventually they went back to the south. My other cousin, like my baby cousin, she's in like New York. She's at like some art school doing good. My other cousin, the one who was who was going to be like one of the four that was going to take care of that was going to take over the new lease, excuse me, she moved into like the next city over. My other cousin, I think he's in the next city over as well. And it was and myself, I moved into this home right here. Now things were kind of turbulent, and in the first time I got here, you know what I'm saying, because I was kind of like struggling to save up, because it was just, you know, because it happened out of the middle of nowhere. It's like you really don't have time to save up money like that when they just tell you got to move, you know what I mean, in the middle of the month. But I did the best I could, you know, borrowed a little bit of money, got that situation out the way. So here, like the rent is $800 a month, and the security deposit was $800 as well. And with the money I was making, because I just got a raise at my job, I was making, like, I don't want to say how much, but I was like pretty much paying that off would have been a problem. So the original issue, the original plan was to pay everything off by February and just be done with it. But eventually, the job eventually ran into some problems. Since before I started working there, they've been having trouble with thievery and shoplifting. So much so that the store was losing like $5,000 to $8,000 a week last year, and I think they kind of like evened it out to like to where it's like they're taking care of like the thievery and things like that, and people shoplifting. They're taking care of that, and they got it down to at least like around 5,000 a week. And it's still being lowered, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they're doing something about it now, but it was like the damage had been done. So because all that was going on, even since before I started working there, and them losing so much money, that's over like all together. That's like 300,000 in profits that the store is losing, and that came right out of the hours of the workers that were working there. You know, I work on night crews, so we were getting 40 hours a week, and when that got cut in half, this happened in the middle of February. So it was just like, okay, I had to pay some people back, take care of some business. Basically, I was looking at, you know, making this amount here, same amount next week, basically throughout the month, throughout the entire month of February. That's what, you know, I was doing. That was the original plan. So I was like, man, I got this. It ain't no problem. When they cut those hours at my job, that fucked me up so bad. Excuse my language, but that did. It did. It happened at a bad time. You know, everything was going to get paid off if things would have stayed the same, and I wouldn't have never been in this situation. But it was just like something beyond my control. So that's when all this happened, and things got bad, and you know what I mean. But thank God, or whoever you want to believe in. You know what I mean? I don't care if it's the Easter Bunny. You know what I mean? Like, literally, thank God that the guy who's the owner of this house, who's renting the room out to me, he's understanding as fuck, and that's putting it lightly. He made accommodations multiple times just to make sure that I was straight and make sure that I had the time I needed to pay things off. Of course, he gave me a deadline and things like that, but he's been more than understanding. And I would say his name, but you know, let me not say his name. I don't want to put people out there like that, but you know, thank you to him, because he's a real one. You know, if there was any indication that there's good-hearted people in the world, man, because at the end of the day, he said he didn't want me to move out because I'm a nice guy, and you know, playing video games and things like that. You know, everybody in this house, basically, it's only 4 of us in this house. Me and the, you know, like the couple who basically owns the house, and another guy that stays upstairs as well. You know, we all play video games, like we're all gamers, we're all people, you know, basically like we're all nerds or all geeks or whatever. Like we all game, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody has the same personality. Nobody's loud, nobody's rude to each other. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not a bad situation. The only situation with him was that it was the money situation. You know what I mean? Because I think deep down he understood that things happened for me at a bad time, and I couldn't, because of that, I couldn't really hold on to my word, and he understood. That's why he kept giving me accommodations and chances to do things and get things up to where they are now. So thank that guy for being an understanding landlord, because he, man, if it wasn't for him, if it was somebody else, I would be out on the street right now. He basically worked with me to get to this point to where I'm stable. You know what I mean? And I can say that I can handle everything from this point on, because of that. So also, I want to thank my family members as well. My sister, who helped me out, because she's one of the real. But besides him, she's the MVP. You know what I mean? So like we got two MVPs here. We got the landlord that owns the house basically, and my sister who really came to me at a critical time. Um, so that just everything, man. And you guys, what I'm saying, y'all also the real MVP because the money that was donated to me basically alleviated a lot of problems. Like that 130 went a long way. So for you guys that donated, man, I can't tell you how much I say thank you because you guys saved my ass. And like this stream is a lot less stressful. Like you don't see me like, I mean, don't worry. Like the situation took its effect on me. Don't get me wrong, but my thing is, if you make it out of a bad situation, it's still going to affect you, but you can either let it help you, you can either let it beat you up, or you can let it help you up. I'm choosing to let this situation help me up in the sense that to take it as a lesson to not get myself in this situation again because I really, like, I was this close to being homeless. Like this, like all my family is gone. All my family is, I mean, I'm used to having them like in arm's reach. They're all spread it out now. Like I don't really have. I mean, I could call them and they can do what they can, but it's like at the end of the day, they're not gonna want me on the street, so they'll come and get me if if things get awry. But you know what I mean. They are busy doing their own thing, and like I said, I don't think about other people helping me without wondering about how much that help is affecting them. You know what I mean? Like they're coming to my rescue and they got to take things out of their situation and out of their bills to come help me. You know what I mean? I think about that. So it kind of hurts me that they have to do that, which is why I've always been the type that if I don't have to ask for your help, I'm gonna do everything I can to try to do that. Asking people for help is like the last of the last options. You know what I mean? So, but the fact that people actually came to my aid, that means a lot, man. Because I don't really ask for anything. I don't. Even when I'm sick, I would much rather sit there and be sick than to bother somebody for a ride to go to the hospital or something like that. That's literally the mentality that I have, and I've been in situations like that to where I was like sick to where I had to go, but I don't really want to bother nobody to, you know what I mean, for a ride or nothing like that. Like, you know. But yeah, man. So basically, that's what it is. I'm forever grateful for that, man. So where I don't really have to worry about being able to take care of things now because now I actually have the time to do it. It's not like certain things that I'm finna work a second job, shortly. I have to go up there and pay them a visit, and they can work out the hours and things like that. And I can let them know what my availability is. I mean, I told them on the application, but they still want to try to see what else can be done before they officially put me on. So I'm finna start working 2 jobs. So that might take some time away from my streaming, but those 2 jobs are only going to be temporary because I'm not going to be working at 2 jobs. It's just to help me balance things out to where I can catch up on this, that, and the third. Maybe get some new hardware that I need, and then it's just going to be focusing on 1 job because that's really all I need to take care of things like that. But now it's like it's the period of catching up and getting ahead. So that's basically what I'm gonna do. But yeah, man, that's basically the whole situation, man. So I'm gonna say thank you again to the landlord. He know who he is. Like, he watches my videos. Thank you to him for being so understanding and actually having a kind heart, to give a damn. I mean, he let me know how serious the situation was. Don't get me wrong, and I understood it. And like, even when he thought he was being a dick to me, he wasn't. He was just being legit. He was being real. He was being upfront about everything. So I even told him, dude, you're not being a dick. Like, I understand why I understand the position you're in. So I don't look at it as you being a dick. Like, you just being 100 with me. You're just keeping it 100. You're just being real with me, which is the way I would expect. And me, I'm communicating with him better because me coming from the other house and living with family members, things were done a certain way, and you had to adjust here and there, and I kind of brought that mentality with me, which I shouldn't have. You know what I mean? But thanks for him being understanding, and now we can get things straight away, get things straight. Like, I'm forever grateful. I'm forever grateful, man. So things are looking good, man. I don't have no problems now. I'm good. Like I said, once I got past this month's payment, I'll be straight. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't stress that enough. Like, I'll be good because I'm caught up on everything. I don't need any. You know what I mean? Like, I'm straight now, so I can finish paying off the security deposit to him. I can save up. You know, I have enough time to save up for the rent, this upcoming rent. 800 ain't nothing for me to come up with now. The hours are going back up at work because some people quit, and unfortunately, some other people have died. Like 2 people had died. 2 senior workers at my job had passed on. So those hours got to go somewhere. You know what I mean? So the hours are going back up. The store is making more profits now. You know what I mean? So everything is coming into back in a full circle the way it originally was supposed to be and remain during February. So unfortunately, it took this long, but I'm straight now, man, and I have you guys to thank for that. So I can't stress that enough. I have you guys to thank for that. I have him to thank for that. I have my sister to thank for that, and I have everybody that ever sent any bit of positive energy my way. Bruh, I cannot tell you how much of a sigh of relief I am having right now because of that. So, even with this last hurdle, I had some people, they sent me money through Cash App, and unfortunately, the amount of money was like the last little bit that I needed to pay him off for the rent, and he, you know, he accepted it. You know what I mean, and he understood my situation again, and I told him like, hey, after this, I'm good, and he worked with me, man. Yeah, bro, he really came through, man. So you guys, man. Oh, J Reno, what's up, man? I know I didn't have my mic. J Nero, excuse me. I didn't have my mic on last time, but yeah, man. Everything is good. Everything's straight now. Man. I'm like, there is like such a sigh of relief over me right now, dude. And I have you guys to thank for that. I have him for being a good landlord. I'm just in a positive space to where I don't have to worry about being in the situation again, because when I have the time to actually do the things that I need to do, it's not these sudden changes from like hours being cut and things like that, and suddenly have to move. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, man, thank you. Like, I'm just like, I'm all over the place, bro. So that's it, man. So this video is basically gonna be its own video. I'm going to stop the stream, but I'm going to start it up again. So anybody who's in here, Janero, don't go anywhere. I'm just going to, have this video as a separate video before I officially start playing the game. But yeah, man, that's basically it. Thank you guys to everybody who was helpful during this hard, stressful headache of a time. Dude, when I tell you I cried for a straight week and I had a headache and my eyes were swelling up behind that, man, let me tell you, bad. But yeah, man, it's basically like the situation is over. I'm good now, and thanks a lot. So again, I'm finna start the game. Just anybody you and anybody else who comes in, just remain in the chat. I'm gonna start it up again. I just got to make this its own separate video, and we can get to some gaming, man. So let's do it. Thanks again for being warriors. I'm gonna hit y'all up for the guys that donated. I'm gonna hit y'all up later on because I got something for y'all. Once my situation gets straightened out, y'all have something coming. So thank you guys very much. Whew, we good. All right, so let me restart the stream, get back into the game, and we can go from there.